Very special episode. No, not because it's St. Patrick's Day. In fact, let's get serious, shall we? I told you last week, and I've been telling you all week. Today is a special edition of Mystery Unsolved, where today we will be talking about the Cecil Hotel. Now, if you don't know about the Cecil Hotel, I don't know what to tell you. You're living under a rock, and you need to wake up. In all seriousness, this episode will probably go well over my usual estimate time of 10 to 15 minutes because there's just so much to cover. In fact, there's so much to cover that I have divided it into 5 topics. So the 5 topics today about the Cecil Hotel will be serial killers, Elisa Lamb, haunted, suicides and murders, and then finally, popular culture. Now, before we get into the 5 topics about the Cecil Hotel, let's get into a little bit about the hotel itself, shall we? It was built in 1924 in Los Angeles, California, at the cost of about 1.5 million. That was quite a lot of money back in 1924. I can only imagine how much it would be cost to build today. It has 700 rooms and 301 suites. It was popular during the 1940s. However, after the 40s ended, for decades, the place just became in a massive decline. It saw a massive decline in people. And one of the reasons for this, which I actually did not write down next to the notepad next to me, so if you see my eyes verting, you'll know why. It's it's not in a very good area. I've never been to Los Angeles, but apparently there's a really bad part of Los Angeles that's so bad that the hotel is actually right across from it, and it's actually a place called Skid Row. It got this name, I believe, during the late 70s, early 80s, and it's just so bad. Like um, today it's actually a large hangout for the homeless people. But yeah, for it's in a bad part of the area, and it was a nice vibrant hotel, and just imagine over the decline over a decade, and that's what seems to have happened. Let's see what else do we got here. It was rebranded as the Stay on Main in 2011. So technically, it's not called the Cecil, kind of like how um, Mile High Stadium for the Denver Broncos isn't technically Mile High Stadium, even though we still call it that. So it was rebranded as the Stay on Main in 2011, and this was to create a new image. You know, yeah, good luck with that. Everybody who knows about it, you can slap a new name on it and give it a new logo. It's still going to have its history. And last but certainly not least, one of the main reasons we're here talking about it today, 16 deaths have taken place in or near the hotel. Now, with that being said, let us delve into the first topic of the Cecil Hotel, serial killers. Serial killers? Serial killers. So, most hotels probably don't have famous serial killers staying at their places, but for the Cecil, they had two. The first one was in the 1980s. They had Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker, who reportedly stayed there for few weeks, and it's very likely that Ramirez, while he stayed at the Cecil Hotel, engaged in some of his murders of people in the area. Ramirez was actually known to hang out at Skid Row, so not only did he stay at the Cecil Hotel, but he made himself at home by killing people by adventuring out at night, hence the reason he's called the Night Stalker. So, yeah, he'd leave his hotel room and kill a few people and then go back to his room. I suppose the only heartfelt part about this, the good part, I suppose, is that he didn't actually murder anybody on the premises, at least as far as we know. But it's said that he most likely killed people while he stayed at the Cecil Hotel. Uh, like I said, he killed a total of 15 people between 1986 and 1987. However, it's unknown, although highly unlikely, that he killed anybody on the grounds of the Cecil or inside the Cecil Hotel. I heard a rumor that he actually killed somebody outside, like next to like an alley of the hotel, and between that and the another building next to it. Again, that's just a rumor I had heard. Um, Another serial killer stayed at the Cecil. Now, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Jack Underweger, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name. He actually stayed at the hotel in 1991. I actually watched this, which I'll get to later on in the episode. He actually strangled and killed 6 prostitutes while he stayed at the hotel. So, what's Jack Underweger's deal? Well, he's from Austria, and he actually pretended to be a journalist when he checked into the hotel in 1991. He said he was doing a documentary and that he was studying and doing some research on the area and on Richard Ramirez. Little did people know he was certainly doing his research, but not in a good way on Richard Ramirez. He actually, it was all a ruse. He wanted to copy and be like Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. So he actually went out, by day, he stayed at the hotel and he was a journalist. But at night, he would go out and he would murder and kill 6 prostitutes. Um, he actually got away with it for quite a while until the police actually caught up with him and they tracked him down to his native Austria, where he was going to be prosecuted. But before they could, he actually hanged himself. So, unfortunately, no justice was done there. However, Richard Ramirez, of course, as many know, was locked up where he died in prison. So, again, 2 serial killers staying at a hotel, like that's just mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. But this is only one part of why the Cecil Hotel is so utterly creepy and bizarre. Number 2, Elisa Lam. Perhaps you've heard of her. Perhaps you've seen the video. I think not that I ever find myself quoting Zach Baggin from Ghost Adventures, but he said it best. I'm sure all of us at some point in the last 10 years have been haunted by the elevator footage of Elisa Lam inside the Cecil Hotel. So I'm going to take you back. The year was 2013. The place is the Cecil Hotel. To be more specific, the elevator at the Cecil Hotel. A young Asian woman is seen dipping into the elevator. This is my best reenactment. I apologize if it's so utterly ridiculous and cheesy. She looks around, she steps out, she looks around, she steps back in. Then she peers around the corner. She looks around, she seems skittish. She then peers back around, almost as if she's talking to somebody. She's like down like this, as if she's talking to somebody. And she goes back into the elevator, and then I believe she peers around the corner. As I revert to my notes, surveillance footage of a young woman named Elisa Lam was shown of the woman behaving strangely in the hotel elevator. Best way you can really put it. She is seen hiding in the elevator, then stepping out and looking around, and then back. She's seen talking to somebody outside of it. It's never that person. Nobody else ever comes into the camera focus, so we don't know who that is. Before she steps off camera. Here's the crazy part. Her dead body was found later on, weeks later, perhaps a month later, in the water tanker on the roof of the hotel. The only reason they knew this was because guests were complaining of the water tasting funny. Yeah, imagine that. Like coming across that. Like, why does the water taste funny here? Hey, you have funny tasting water? Yeah, me too. And then the discovery, my God. this has been a big mystery because people, first of all, don't know why she was acting the way she was. They don't know if who she was talking to, if anybody, and they also don't know how it is that she got up in the water tanker and how she died. Um, I have a little more into this at the last part. Again, everything's going to connect back to the last topic, if you will, of the Cecil Hotel. So, Elisa Lamb. I mean, my God, probably one of the most recently, famous cases and happenings at the Cecil. So, let us get to the third part. Probably, probably the part that I couldn't find much on, but I can't possibly imagine with all the evidence here that it isn't. Is the Cecil Hotel haunted? So, from what I read, from what I gathered, one article says it's probably not haunted, but it's merely just one. But that's merely just one opinion. It said that Elisa Lamb was haunted by a ghost, which drove her to her bizarre and strange behavior before she died. Given all the activity that's happened over the years, I myself would think it was haunted. Um, but then again, I've only given you two bits, haven't I? So we're gonna take a little shift, if you will. But just before I get to the next part, I think the Cecil Hotel is haunted. There's no way it isn't. I mean, especially given the next segment that I'm about to give you on it. It's really hard to say that it isn't. So let us get to the fourth topic at hand: suicides and murders. Now, remember, I told you 16 deaths occurred in the hotel. 13 of them were suicides. That's like what, 80, 85%, 90%? That's that's jarring. So, Room Spook, it is a website that actually keeps a tally of deaths that occur in hotels. What a job to have, right? And they actually listed 13 suicides having taken place inside the Cecil Hotel. So I suppose if you're, down in the dumps in LA and you're looking for a place to, I'm not even going to finish that, but you get my point. That's really unfortunate. Now the other unfortunate part. On June 27th, 1927, a man by the name of Percy Ormond shot himself in the head while staying at the Cecil Hotel. He was the first known person to kill himself at the hotel. In 1931, a man named W.K. Norton took poison capsules while in his room. He also shortly died afterwards. In 1962, a woman jumped to her death from the ninth floor, landing on a pedestrian, killing them both. Swear to God, did not make that up. That actually happened. The woman was on the ninth floor, jumped to her death, landed on a guy, I'm pretty sure they said it was a man, landed on a guy that was just walking by the hotel and killed him. That's that's pretty crazy. Another woman was also reported to have jumped out the window and died. And the connection with her to the woman in 1962 is that both of their husbands slept in bed while they jumped out the window and killed themselves. It was also reported that the man who shot himself did so because he could not reconcile with his wife and child. So I'm sensing a bit of a pattern here, which again, it's just, why does it have to come to that? And why does the place to do it always have to be the Cecil? Is there something about this place? I don't know. We'll get to that in a minute when I revisit the haunted section. But artist Anna Mendita, many suggest, was actually pushed out the window of the hotel by her husband. Again, a pattern here is clearly evident. And finally, this one's not a suicide, but a known murder. In 1964, Goldie Osgood was the name of the woman. She was found murdered inside her room. And apparently, from what I read, it was an absolute bloodbath. They found this room was a total disaster. And unfortunately, I don't call this show Mystery Unsolved for nothing. This case remains unsolved. They don't know what happened to her. They know she was murdered, but they don't know by who. They don't know why. Just a woman in a bad situation in a room that's just in shambles. So, again, these are just a few of the deaths that took place in the hotel, which brings me back. Is the Cecil Hotel haunted? To the person that wrote the article saying, probably not, okay, I'm going to put you in the same category as the person who wrote the other article that I read that says, let's for hypothetically think that ghosts exist because we know that ghosts don't exist. Like, don't be one of those people. Ghosts exist. Ghosts exist. Whether or not you've seen one is beside the point, but you have to admit that they exist. Now, again, connecting the serial killers and all the people that have died in the hotel, you can't tell me that that place isn't haunted. Like, if I walked in there right now, I mean, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a ghost hunter. I'm not a person that picks up on vibes or moods. But I'm pretty sure that if I walked in there right now, even I, a person who believes in ghosts but doesn't get that vibe that, people who are really connected and sensitive, I would even get it. Because why wouldn't you in a place like that? 16 people got killed in there. Two serial killers stayed there. I'm sorry, what? Like, how do you not think that place is not haunted? That's insane. That could be one of the most underrated haunted places in America. There's so yeah, I definitely think it's haunted just because the serial killers, I mean, all the people who committed suicide, and don't I believe they do say that some people that because when you commit suicide that you don't really part of you is in limbo, but part of you stays on Earth because you can't accept what you did to yourself, so you forever roam. And I mean, if these people ended it at the hotel, naturally they're going to stay at the hotel. So I definitely think that the Cecil Hotel is haunted, and you can quote me on that. Um, there is a little rumor here. I didn't write any of this. I did not write this rumor down, so you're getting exclusive, which I broke. My little exclusive news. I did that little trick last week. So it was rumored, and I've read this in at least 5 articles that I read on the Cecil Hotel, and all of them bring up that Elizabeth Smart, aka the Black Dahlia, stayed here, and that this was the last place she was seen before she was found brutally murdered in someone's yard, chopped to pieces. However, several, as many articles that claim this, there's like 7 more articles that debunk it. There is no evidence whatsoever to suggest that Elizabeth Smart, aka the Black Dahlia, last stayed at the Cecil Hotel before she died. A lot of people claim they saw her in the bar area having a drink and talking with a few people. But apparently, this is just to people think that over the years this has been, you know, misconstrued and quoted just so that the hotel has more of a dark and vibrant past to add on to it. Like, yeah, because having 2 serial killers and 16 people die in your hotel isn't enough to make it creepy. You're just going to add, yeah, maybe the Black Dahlia stayed here. I don't think she did because, again, it's too conflicting. Last but not least, before my closing thoughts on each, popular culture. Now, if you know about the Cecil Hotel, it's probably because one of the following things. I didn't realize how much stuff there was on this place. So again, if you don't know about it, you're living under a rock. I don't know what to tell you. All right. In no particular order, the band U2 performed on the roof of the building next to the Cecil Hotel on March 22nd, 1987. I was not here yet, so it's a fun little fact. The hotel inspired the film Barton Fink. I have not had the privilege of watching that film, but I hear it's good. It was the inspiration for the fifth season of American Horror Story Hotel, which I did watch, and it's probably my second favorite episode, my second favorite season of American Horror Story. And you can say it's the inspiration, just given all the history and the plot of the season of the show. It was the setting for the excuse me. It was the setting for the No Sleep podcast season 3 episode, The Cecil Hotel. The hotel can actually be seen in the Blink 182 music video, The Rock Show. It's actually in the background. Uh, Again, fun little fact. In 2017, Investigation Discovery did a three-part miniseries called Horror at the Cecil Hotel. So do you remember in the beginning when I told you there was one little bit and then there was a second little bit and then I would go back to it? We're at that part because I actually watched this three-part miniseries last year at exactly around this time. How nutty is that? How nutty is that? I didn't even try to plan it like that. That's just happy coincidence. But I actually watched the Horror at the Cecil Hotel, and it actually shows. This is the part that actually showed Jack Underweger. And I actually, when I first watched it, I thought he was just a regular guy as a journalist doing his regular research. Then later on, like the second episode, and you find out that he's a killer, and I was just like, what? Like you didn't see that coming at all. There was a second part about this I wanted to delve into. Oh, right, Elisa Lamb. So that actually sort of talks about Elisa Lamb, but not really. But it does get into it a little bit. Excuse me, I'm just nudging over here. But yeah, so it was more about Jack Underweger and his dark past, and by the third episode, he was pretty much like quoting Richard Ramirez. So you pretty much knew what you were watching by that point. Um, the 2018 film Followed uses the hotel's murders and suicide for its plot. And of course, this year's Ghost Adventures episode, they went to the Cecil Hotel for an episode. And Netflix did a 4-episode docuseries called Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, which went into the disappearance in length on Elisa Lamb. So if you haven't watched those, I strongly suggest you check them out. And if you haven't checked out the Investigation Discovery documentary, Horror at the Cecil Hotel, I definitely recommend that one as well. So, you know the dealio. We're gonna go over this. Every bit of it. We're gonna get into a little bit about it. I'm kind of sad right now because I thought this was gonna be like a two-parter. I thought I was gonna do parts of this right now and then part of it later. I also thought I would have a massive crowd, but it's only showing one person. So whoever that one person is, thank you so much for watching and sticking with me this long. I know I'd get sick of my own voice and face after a while. All right, serial killers. What are my thoughts on this? Well, they stayed there. You can't say they didn't. Do I think Richard Ramirez killed people on the premises of the Cecil Hotel? No, I don't think not. At least not inside. I do believe he probably like went like like out his room, down the hall, out the back door that you're probably not supposed to go out. Excuse me, and had himself a little fun in the alleyway, and then probably right across the street, I would say would probably be if not the alleyway, then across the street would be as far as Ramirez got into killing people near the Cecil Hotel. I would just further like to throw the fact that today there's a massive amount of, again, homeless people across the street from the Cecil Hotel. And the hotel actually closed this year because they want to turn it into apartments. There's the 301 suites that I told you about in the beginning. They're going to turn those into apartments. So I usually don't swear on these, but how fucked up is that? Pardon my French, but like, how are you going to have a whole community of homeless people, a community of homeless people across the street from an abandoned hotel and not welcome them in? I mean, sure, if you don't want to come in because you think the place is haunted, that's totally understandable. But like, come on, do your justice here. Like, these people don't have to be homeless if you just took them in. Heck, make it into a homeless shelter, the Cecil homeless shelter. Like, I don't know. I know that seems crazy, but like, come on. Abandoned hotel across the street and there's people homeless right across from it. Like, that's insane. That's just not right. Um, but again, Jack Underweger, I don't think he killed people in the hotel either, but I think he was probably like, I feel like he was a lot more like dark and sinister when he stayed at the hotel than Ramirez, if that makes sense. I know a lot of people don't know who Jack Underweger is. I know I didn't before I watched the horror at the Cecil Hotel, but Richard Ramirez had a little certain swag about him, which people just glorify to this day. Never glorify serial killers, people. Have some class. But I think that Jack Underweger kind of portrayed himself in a hidden way. Like he wanted people to think he was a journalist, when in reality he was killing people. Richard Ramirez was out there just like, you know, look at me, glamour boy, and you know, I just think I don't think either one of them killed on the premises. But do I think either one of them are haunting the hotel? Abso-freaking-lutely I do. Especially Underway, because remember, he committed suicide. He hanged himself. So if that was the place that he was most happy, which it kind of sickly sounds like he did, definitely. Richard Ramirez, I mean, uh, maybe, maybe. He killed people all over the coast of San Francisco and Los Angeles. So maybe, if his ghost does haunt the place, like it's just one of the many stops that his ghost makes. Elisa Lamb, like this one, I don't know. I've heard about this so many times, you'd think I'd have a theory as to what happened to her. The thing I forgot to tell you, oh my God, because I'm stupid like that. So the documentary Horror at the Cecil Hotel at the on Investigation Discovery, that it actually suggests that there was a creepy guy who either worked at the hotel or he stayed there. Excuse me. It actually shows Elisa Lamb, the person that betrayed her, interacting with this individual on the elevator at least twice. And then it gets to the whole like, but then you never see him again. And then of course, Elisa Lamb's body is shown. It's in the water tanker above the roof. So I don't know if they did this as a way to like suggest to kind of like a fictional way to play on what potentially happened to her. But the funny part was in this reenactment in this show, they never bring up the guy, which makes me think like they don't know if the guy ever existed. But that was the only way they could portray it so that we could understand what may have happened. Because I remember after I watched it, I was like, why didn't they talk to that guy? And then it hit me, maybe this guy didn't actually exist, but they put him there as a way for us to watch it and see perhaps what happened to her. With that being said, I think perhaps there was a creepy guy that no one's ever looked into that somehow got away with it, and maybe that's who she was talking to when she was, doing that outside the elevator. Because otherwise, like, what do you have to go on? Like, why was she acting so bizarre? It suggested she was bipolar, but again, they talked to her family. They're like, she wasn't bipolar. Like, maybe she was like stressing over finals. I don't know. Maybe staying at the Cecil Hotel just broke her. Because maybe the Cecil Hotel has such an creepy aura that it can break even the most innocent of people. i.e., Elisa Lam. Do I think it's haunted? You're damn right I do. If not by Richard Ramirez, if not by Jack Underweger, then surely by Elisa Lam, or surely by the 16 people that were killed in the hotel, and surely 13 of them being by suicide. You can't tell me that if you walked into that place, you would know the difference between a living person and a ghost. Or you'd get a room, like you'd get room 13, and then right across would be, I don't know how they do rooms in hotels. I never stayed at one. Let's go with 15. Let's say they go back and forth. So you're in 13. Oh, is there somebody? Can you tell the person in 15 to keep it down? Sir, there's nobody staying in the room across from you at 15. Exactly. That would happen. I feel like that would happen, you know? I feel like that would happen. So I definitely feel like the Cecil Hotel is haunted. I mean, how could it not be with everything that I've just piled on and given you? We are at the 31-minute threshold here. This is the longest video I've ever done. Probably breaking Restreamio records right now. Not that I care. All right, suicides and murders. I mean, what can I really say about this that hasn't already been said, and what more needs to be said? I guess the big question that I have for all of these suicides is why. Like I know I've heard over the years like people off themselves in hotel rooms for whatever reason, because it's just a way to escape. But like, why the Cecil Hotel? Like, what what part of it? Maybe because it's so sinister looking, like the big old-fashioned logo sign from 1924 that says 700 rooms, 301 suites, great lodging. Maybe it's just got that sinister, like dark, demonic look to it that depressed people just cling and latch onto. That they're just kind of like, this is the place. This is the place that makes most sense. Which doesn't make sense to me, but I'm just trying to understand, I guess, if you will. And then finally, popular culture. I really did not realize how many things did um, that associated itself with this hotel. I mean, I was familiar with the American Horror Story hotel season because that's one my second favorite, and I love the aesthetics of that season, and I love the aesthetics of that hotel, and knowing that it's based off of the Cecil just all the more creeps me out. I had also thought that the movie 1408 with John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson was based off of the Cecil, but apparently it wasn't, or maybe a little bit of it was. I looked up the film and there was nothing on the Cecil, which kind of had me baffled because I could have sworn I remember reading that it was. In the movie, it's called The Dolphin, and he stays in one room. Yeah. So, but this and just little bit of closing thoughts here. No one's ever reported that the place is haunted. How is that possible? Again, if it is, I didn't come across it, and I read like 10 articles. And one of them says, "Is the Cecil haunted?" And it gets into everything that I just went over: the serial killers, the suicide, the popular culture. But none of it actually definitively says when a person stayed here, they actually saw the spirit of Richard Ramirez. Didn't see that. They saw the spirit of a woman who stayed here, who supposedly killed himself. Didn't see that either. So just because people, again, you could say like, "Oh, there's no ghosts." Just because no one's reported it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And I definitely think that there's there's definitely something creepy going on at the Cecil Hotel. Maybe I need to watch that Ghost Adventures episode, huh? As much as I don't like Ghost Adventures, that seems like something I definitely need to watch. So yeah, this has been my episode of the Cecil Hotel. Uh, Again, not many people watch this. The one person, whoever you are, God bless you. Reach out to me at the end of this to let me know who you are and that you stuck with me this entire time to watch this. Um, to those who watch this on playback, I hope you will appreciate it as much as I did making it. And I would love your thoughts on the Cecil Hotel. First of all, did you know about it before I did the video on it? Again, I hope you're not one of those people that lives under a rock. Second of all, what do you think about the serial killers like Richard Ramirez, Jack Underweger, Elisa Lamb? I'm sure you know about that story. Um, do you think the Cecil Hotel is haunted? Would you stay at the Cecil Hotel? There's a question I didn't ask myself. Would you stay at the Cecil Hotel? I'll answer that. I'll answer myself. No, no, I would not. Even though the place is closed now, no, no. I would love a tour of the place, but if you said like, "Hey, would you like to spend the night here, free of charge?" If it were free, I'd be tempted. I'm not gonna lie. I would just, I don't know. If you dangle free in front of like a free room and board, it is tempting. But at the same time, given everything I just read to myself and the viewers, I don't know. Maybe a little contradiction there. What do you think about the suicides and the murders? Probably the same thing as me, right? Like, it's just unfortunate. But I guess the question there is, why do you think so many people just decide to end their lives at this daunting hotel? And last but not least, what part of the popular culture did you know? Like, what part of pop culture introduced you to the Cecil Hotel? Well, I hope you enjoyed this special edition and extra long episode of Mystery Unsolved with yours truly, Justin Bienvenue, on this glorious St. Patrick's Day. Um, my phone is just blowing up with just complete and utter nonsense of notifications, but let's ignore that. Um, so yeah, I hope you will join in next week where I will probably be talking about you know what? I'm probably going to go with a regular topic just because back-to-back special topics kind of takes away the whole special edition, doesn't it? Um, so yeah, next week we'll be back to my regular scheduled 10 to 15 minute video. But then not next week, the following week will be a special edition where I will be talking about something else special, but I'm not going to drop that just yet. So again, thank you all so much for those who did watch. Again, that one person, whoever you are, please message me and tell me who you are, because your entirety of watching this is forever grateful. Again, those watching on that watch this on the playback, I hope you enjoy. And again, whoever does watch this, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love your insight and your thoughts on the Cecil Hotel. Until next time.